Try to think of your last presentation. You might be able to remember the clothes you wore, but unable to recall the content. Why would the memory system store part of that experience but not the other? The answer is, you remember the things that you think about. That is, memory is the residue of thought. So how can we make use of this phenomenon and memorize the appropriate matters? A study conducted by Hyde and Jenkins examined how thinking can facilitate memory. They gave participants a list of words to think about. Participants were asked either the words contained an E or a G, or to rate how pleasant or unpleasant the words were. Participants remembered significantly more words in the semantic content because they think about the meaning rather than looking for the letters. However, just thinking about the meaning is not enough. A better strategy is to think about the relevant meaning of what is being learned, such that information can be stored and retrieved from the long-term memory. Barkley and colleagues showed two sentences to participants. One, the man lifted the piano, and the other, the man tuned the piano. Students had cues to help them recall the key word piano. Students who got the sentence, the man lifted the piano, could recall the key word better than their cue was relevant, like something was heavy, compared to an irrelevant cue, like something sounded nice. While for the tuned sentence, the effect of the two cues on memory were opposite. This suggests memory is encoded in a particular context, and in order to retrieve this memory, it is necessary to think about the relevant meaning in the learned context. In the context of learning, students generally have little knowledge about their own memories and have poor judgments about their learning. This leads to ineffective studying. To put this in perspective, students often study by reading their notes or highlighting the text. When reviewing the material, the reader may have the illusion of, I know this. However, this does not ensure that the student will think about the contextual meaning of the material, which determines what we remember. Reading is less effortful as it doesn't involve a deep processing of the content. Reading for your study leads to poorer memory recall, lower efficiency in reviewing, and that information cannot be retained. Here are some suggestions of how to maximize the benefit of thinking, relevant meaning in education. Using thinking exercises such as drawing a flow diagram or a hierarchical diagram, students will write the main ideas at the top and branch down to subordinate ideas. This exercise will encourage students to think about the underlying ideas of the learning content. Teachers could give questions about the underlying content of what students are currently learning. The goal is to think about the meaning, which will improve learning and lead to better memory retrieval. Also, teachers should be aware of the use of attention grabbers, such as over-attractive slides, demonstrations, or dressing up, as they may distract students. These might cause students to think about and remember the irrelevant information, but not the underlying content. Thinking could also benefit athletes. For example, professional swimmers are required to attend to the rate they are kicking, their swimming speed and the amount of laps that they have completed, and the degree to the angle that they bend their arm. Having to attend to various aspects while engaging in the sport, athletes consequently experience difficulties in performing the new techniques taught by their coach. To enhance athletes' memory of the new techniques, they need to understand what skills are required and why they are required. Therefore, coaches should explain and demonstrate new skills to athletes. After the explanation, athletes need to answer about why a certain technique is needed, or to let the athletes think about the appropriate techniques for a given scenario. This could encourage the athletes to think about the meaning of the newly learned techniques, which would improve retrieving memories. To summarise, to facilitate memory, thinking about the meaning of something in a particular context is a good and valid choice. Both students and teachers should consider applying thinking in the learning process to enhance the educational outcome. Thinking also benefits athletes' training and could potentially lead to better performance. Therefore, when designing a training intervention, try to include any thinking strategies mentioned, as they could lead people to success.